Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namah Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namah Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Arjuna Vacha Shannashasya Mahavaha Tattvamichami Veditam Tagusha Rishikesha Prithakeshinishdhana.
Arjuna said, O mighty armed one, I wish to understand the purpose of renunciation, tyaga, and of the renounced order of life, sannyasa, O killer of the Kasi demon, master of the senses.
Number 2. Kamanang karmanang shannashang kavayo viduhu sharva karma phala tagang prahustagang vichakanaha.
The Supreme Personality of Godhead said, the giving up of activities that are based on material desire is what great learned men call the renounced order of life, sannyasa. And giving up the results of all activities is what the wise called renunciation, tyaga.
Number 3. Tajang dosha vaditeka karma prahuna manishinaha jagadana tapa karma na tajamiti chapare.
Some learned men declare that all kinds of fruitive activities should be given up as faulty, yet other sages maintain that acts of sacrifice, charity, and penance should never be abandoned.
Number 4. Nishchayang sinume tatra tage bharata shatama tago hi purusho vagra tivida samprati kritata.
O best of the Bharatas, now hear my judgment about renunciation. O tiger among men, renunciation is declared in the scriptures to be of three kinds.
Number 5. Jagadana tapa karma nata jankarjame batat jagadana tapashaiva pavunani manishinam.
Acts of sacrifice, charity, and penance are not to be given up. They must be performed. Indeed, sacrifice, charity, and penance purify even the great souls.
Number 6. Etano pitu karmani shangang takta phalani cha kartabhaniti me partha nishchitang matumutamam.
All these activities should be performed without attachment or any expectation of result. They should be performed as a matter of duty. O son of Pritha, that is my final opinion.
Number 7. Niyotasya shittu shannasya karmana napapadate mohatasya paritaga astamasya parikritate krittata.
Prescribed duties should never be renounced. If one gives up his prescribed duties because of illusion, such renunciation is said to be in the mode of ignorance.
Number 8. Dukho miniteva jat karma kayo klesha bhayatajat shakita rajashang tagang noivo tago phala lavet.
Anyone who gives up prescribed duties as troublesome or out of fear of bodily discomfort is said to have renounced in the mode of passion. Such action never leads to the elevation of renunciation.
Number 9. Karjami teva jat karma niyata kriyote arjuna shangataga palanchaiva shataga shattiko mataha.
O Arjuna, when one performs his prescribed duties only because it ought to be done and renounces all material association and all attachments to the fruit, his renunciation is said to be in the mode of goodness.
Number 10. No deshta kushale kushalang kurma kushale nanushachate tagi shatta matarish vishta medha vichirna shankshayah.
The intelligent renouncer, situated in the mode of goodness, neither hateful of inauspicious work nor attached to auspicious work, has no doubts about work.
Number 11. Nahi deho bhrutasakang taktung karmanusheshata jasya karma phalatagi shatagito vidiyate.
It is indeed impossible for an embodied being to give up all activities. But he who renounces the fruits of action is called one who has truly renounced.
Number 12. Anishtamishtam mishancha trividam karma na phalam bhavat taginam preta natu sannashinam kachit.
For one who is not renounced, the threefold fruits of action, desirable, undesirable, and mixed, accrue after death. But those who are in the renounced order of life have no such result to suffer or enjoy.
Number 13. Panchimani mahabahu karunani nibodame shankhen kirtante praktani siddhaye sarva karmanam.
O mighty arm Arjuna, according to the Vedanta, there are 5 causes for the accomplishment of all action. Now learn of these from me.
Number 14. Adhishtanang tatha karta karanancha pritiktavam brihitascha prithak cheshta daivancha matra panchamam.
The place of action, the body, the performer, the various senses, the many different kinds of endeavor, and ultimately the super soul. These are the 5 factors of action.
Number 15. Sharirobhagno novi purchasandi karmo prarabhate naraha yanayang ba viparitang pa panchete tashyate hetabaha.
Whatever right or wrong action a man performs by body, mind, or speech is caused by these 5 factors.
Number 16. Tatraibang shruti kartaram atmanang kevalantajaha pashyat krita buddhita nasha pashyati durmatihi.
Therefore, one who thinks himself the only doer, not considering the 5 factors, is certainly not very intelligent and cannot see things as they are.
Number 17. Jasya nahu krita bhava buddhi jasya na liptate hattapi sha iman lokana ahanti na nipatate.
One who is not motivated by false ego, whose intelligence is not entangled, though he kills men in this world, does not kill, nor is he bound by his actions.
Number 18. Ganangayang paritaga trivida karma chodana karanang karma karteti trivida karma sangraha.
Knowledge, the object of knowledge, and the knower are the 3 factors that motivate action. The senses, the work, and the doer are the 3 constituents of action.
Number 19. Ganang karma cha karta cha trivida guna vedataha rachate guna shankhane jatha brachi nitannapi.
According to the 3 different modes of material nature, there are 3 kinds of knowledge, action, and performer of action. Now hear of them from me.
Number 20. Sarvabhuteshu jenokang bhavo maya vamikshate Obipactang vikpakteshu tadganang vidishatikam.
That knowledge by which one undivided spiritual nature is seen in all living entities, though they are divided into innumerable forms, we should understand to be in the mode of goodness.
Number 21. Pitaktena tu jatkanang nana bhavang prithaktitan vetti sarveshu bhuteshu tadganang vidishajakam rajasham.
That knowledge by which one sees that in every different body there is a different type of living entity, you should understand to be in the mode of passion.
Number 22. Jattu kritasno padiksminam karje shattang mahetakam aturtha badancha tat tamasho mudahitam.
And that knowledge by which one is attached to one kind of work as the all in all, without knowledge of the truth, and which is very meager, is said to be in the mode of darkness.
Number 23. Niyotang shangarohitam raga adeshakritam afule prishnu na karma jat tatshati kamuchate.
The action which is regulated and which is performed without attachment, without love or hatred, and without desire for fruitive results is said to be in the mode of goodness.
Number 24. Jattu kameshpuna karma shahankarena va punaha kriyate bahula yashang yatrajasha mudahitam.
But action performed with great effort by one seeking to gratify his desires and enacted from a sense of false ego is called action in the mode of passion.
Number 25. Onubandhang khayang hingsham apeksha cha purasham mohodara vate karma jattat tamashamuchate.
The action performed in illusion, in disregard of scriptural injunctions, and without concern for future bondage or for violence or distress caused to others is said to be in the mode of ignorance.
Hare Krishna. Thank you.
Hare Krishna. Thank you.
Wonderful. Thank you so much, both of you. Balika Mataji, wonderful pronunciation of the Sanskrit as usual. And Kusum Mataji, very clear recitation of the English verses. Thank you so much, both of you.
Thank you, Prabhuji.
Thank you very much.
We will now go on to today's PowerPoint. Okay, so right, we're continuing reading from the 18th chapter. And the title is Conclusion, the Perfection of Renunciation. And as we know, this 18th chapter actually is a summary of the whole of the Bhagavad Gita. So the summary so far is text 1 to 12. That was a summary of the first 6 chapters of Bhagavad Gita, Karma section. And now this 13 to 18 that we are currently in, that's the summary of chapters 13 to 17, which is the Jnana section. So that's where we are at the moment. Sorry. Just 1 second. There's something. Okay, I'm not actually I haven't done the. Yeah, that's better, isn't it? It's slightly bigger. Right. Okay. So we did the summary. Now we go to today's verse, 18:15. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Srimad Bhagavad Gita, chapter 18, text 15. Shariravan mano biryat karma prarabdhate naraha nyayam va viparitam va panchaite tasya hetavaha. Whatever right or wrong action a man performs by body, mind, or speech is caused by these five factors. So, of course, the verse yesterday spoke about the five factors that are involved in work and any kind of action. So this is what is continuation of that. So here it is said that whatever, whether it's good or bad, all action, anybody who performs with body, mind, or speech is actually caused by these five factors. Purport, very short purport, so I'll just read it myself. The words right and wrong are very significant in this verse. Right work is work done in terms of prescribed directions in the scriptures, and wrong work is done against the principles of the scriptural injunctions. But whatever is done requires these five factors for its complete performance. Sharira Van. Van actually, Sanskrit is Van. Actually, if you look at the word to word, you will find the word is Vak, V-A-K, which means words. So body, Sharira, Vak, uses words. But whenever there is the next word beginning with M, then somehow that Vak changes to Van when you're actually reading the verse. I'm not quite sure the reason for that, but I've noticed that many times. So Sarira, Van, Vak, and Mano. Mano bir means of the mind. Karma, and yeah, so these five factors are involved in this. Short, very straightforward verse. So we just look at the verse itself first, the translation of the verse. So whatever right action, wrong action performed by the body, mind, and speech is caused by these five factors. And in the Sanskrit, Nyayam is translated as right action, and Viparitam as the opposite of that, which means the wrong action. And then Panchaite Tasahetava caused by these five factors. So just to do a little recap from yesterday, can anybody remember without looking what were the five factors?
Place.
Yeah.
Adishta,
Yeah.
Body.
Adhisthana, which is the body, correct? Yeah.
Yeah.
Which is the
Karana,
yeah, the performer.
the senses,
Senses, very good.
The supreme
and endeavor,
Yes,
endeavor.
various endeavors, exactly.
And lastly, super soul.
Exactly, the finally super soul. So this is the five. So any action that's happening, this is what's being involved here. And Prabhupada says in this picture here, he says, we should know that's for certain that the Lord is the ultimate sanctioner officer, sanction officer, sanctioner officer, some part is cut out there, of officer. And we must therefore dedicate our attempts to the mercy of the Lord for ultimate success or to get rid of obstacles on the path of our success. So the ultimate sanctioner here, from all these five causes, the final cause and the ultimate cause is the super soul. The performer, although we often we have this attitude of saying, I did it, I did this, very, our ego comes across as soon as something good is done. So that I factor. So this is what we need to remember. Whenever something is done, we have to remember that we are, of course, one of the factors, because without the soul desiring something, it wouldn't start. Nothing would happen. So yes, the desire comes from us, but then we have to understand that all these other factors are there. And once we know that, then we have a better understanding of the fact that I'm not the only doer. And that's important to understand. And then, as we said, the most important factor is the supersoul. Without the permission of the supersoul, anumanta, upadrashta anumanta. So anumanta, without his anumati, we cannot, it is said, without his anumati, even a blade of grass cannot move. So he is the final sanctioner or final factor. Moving on, so the purport saying the right work is work done in terms of prescribed directions in the scriptures, and wrong work is work done against the principles of scriptural injunctions. So we can look at right action and wrong action in this way. The right action is dharma, and wrong action is adharma. As simple as that. Dharma and dharma. These are the two. This is the way actions go. Very rarely there's anything in between. Whatever we do either is according to the scriptures, or we are just following Maya and doing something through our own mental concoction. So there's a nice verse in the 6th canto of the Bhagavatam. Talks about dharma and adharma. Anybody recognize what's going on here?
This is Ajamil. Before
Malika Mataji, exactly. This is Ajamil.
canto, yeah,
On the right, you see the Yamadutas trying to snatch his soul away.
And Vishnu Duta.
Vishnu Dutas on the left, beautiful forms of Vishnus. They're all stopping them. And there's a discussion goes on between them. And at one point, the Vishnu Dutas are saying to the Yamadutas that if you are really servants of Yamaraj, because Yamaraj is Dharmaraj, he knows Dharma, then you should explain to us the religious principles and the symptoms of irreligion. And then they speak this verse, beautiful verse, which was one of our memory verses, 6140. Yamaduta uchu Veda pranihito dharmo yadharmas tat viparyayah Vedo narayana shakshat swayambur iti sushruma. The Yamadutas are saying that the Yamadutas replied, that which is prescribed in the Vedas constitutes dharma, the religious principles. And the opposite of that is irreligion. The Vedas are directly the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Narayan, and are self-born. This we have heard from Yamaraj. So they're saying this is what our boss has told us. So this is how they're explaining. Of course, the explanation goes on a little bit in other verses. But this is the main point, that whatever's prescribed in the Vedas, that is Dharma. And everything that is not prescribed in the Vedas is Adharma. Everything opposite to that is Adharma. And in the purport, just take down part of the purport here. So perhaps somebody can read this. Let me see. What's this? Drishti. If you're able to unmute yourself and read this paragraph, please.
Hare Krishna, everyone. So the purport says that the members of modern civilization manufacture defective religious principles through speculative concoction. This is not dharma. They do not know what is dharma and what is adharma. Therefore, as stated in the beginning of Srimad Bhagavatam, dharma projihita kaitavotra, dharma not supported by the Vedas is rejected from Srimad Bhagavata Dharma. Bhagavata Dharma comprises only that which is given by the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Bhagavata Dharma is Sarva Dharman Parityaya Mam Ekam Sharanam Vraja. One must accept the authority of the Supreme Personality of Godhead and surrender to him and whatever he says. That is Dharma. Arjuna, for example, thinking that violence was adharma, was declining to fight. But Krishna, urged him to fight. Arjuna abided by the orders of Krishna, and therefore he is actually a dharmi because the order of Krishna is dharma. Hare
Thank you.
Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Thank you, Rishti Mataji. Thank you so much. Yeah. So quite interesting purport here Prabhupada is giving. So the modern civilization manufactured effective religious principles. So, nowadays we have so many newer dharmas, right? Where, things have just happened in the last 50 years, maybe last 100 years, where somebody has taken bits and pieces from different places and they have their own religion, so to speak. So without naming any, there's quite a few like that. So Prabhupada here is saying that they do not know what is dharma and what is adharma. So in the beginning of the Bhagavatam, anybody know what that verse Prabhupada is talking about? Dharma projata kaitava. What number it is? Very famous.
112.
112. Very good. Who said that?
Me.
Oh, Vishali Mataji. Have you memorized that verse?
I had, but I've forgotten, I think.
Okay, yeah. So Dharma projita kaitavatra paramo nirmatsaranam satam vedyam vastavam atra vastu shivadam tapatrayon mulanam Srimad Bhagavate Mahamuni Krite Kim va pare Ishvara Sadyorit Navarudate Takitibi Shushrushruvish Takshana. Beautiful verse, which is saying that this Bhagavad Purana rejects all religious activities which are materially motivated. And it further goes on to say that this kind of knowledge, this dharma, Vedyam Vastavam Atru Vasu Shivadam, it actually tapatrayon mulanam. This knowledge of Bhagavatam, it uproots the threefold tapa trayo mulanam. It uproots anmulanam, uproots threefold miseries. And it says this Bhagavad Purana, which was compiled by Srila Vyasadeva in his maturity, is enough. That Bhagavad itself is enough for self-realization. What need is there for anything else? And as soon as one submissively hears the message of Bhagavatam, the Supreme Lord becomes established immediately within his heart. So beautiful dharma. So the main thing here is that Bhagavatam, it completely rejects all these kind of concocted religious systems. Right? And this is where actually our dharma actually starts. People are seemingly following religion, but because those religions are not founded, or their principles are not founded in Shastra, they end up being not dharmi. So this is something that's very, very important to remember. We must make sure that whatever we follow something which is firmly established in the Shastras. We have some people who are following particular, even within the family, for example, and they say, oh, we got nothing to do with Bhagavatam. A statement like that we have nothing to do with Bhagavatam, that just shows you the shallowness of that religion. So yeah, so in the end, in this Prabhupada is saying that Arjuna actually is dharmi because the order of Krishna is dharma. That's the main thing. So everything else, whatever we are doing, if we need to decide whether it's the right thing or the wrong thing, we find out, okay, what does Krishna say about it? What would Krishna advise me to do? And that way you can never go wrong. Right actions performed by body, speech, and mind. So we do some revision here, like I said, because this is a small purport. I had to be a little bit inventive in terms of getting material for this. So here I say, this says actions performed by body, speech. So right and wrong actions performed by body, speech, and mind. So let's look at wrong actions come easily. That come naturally to all of us. Unfortunately, that's the nature of life. we are easily, just as water goes downstream easier, to get water upstream, we need to have some kind of a pumping mechanism. But downstream, it will just run by its own. Similarly, our lower nature drags us down very easily. So our dharma, we don't even have to think about it. It comes naturally. But let's see what right actions, what dharma is. And to look at that, I just remembered the verses, 3 verses in the 17th chapter, talking about the austerities of the body, mind, and speech. Because basically, although they are not there in that chapter, they're called austerities. But when you look at them, they are actually the good actions of how one should use one body, speech, and mind in the right way. So, austerity of the body. Can anybody remember 17th chapter? What the austerity of the body was? There's a few of them, and this is.
Is it austerity in passion?
No, that comes, so there later on it divides into passion, goodness, and
Okay.
but the body, first of all, as soon as I put it up, you will remember it.
Is it so too? Yeah.
Worship of the Supreme Lord, remember?
Okay.
Worship the Supreme Lord. So this is how we use our body. We worship the Lord, we worship the Brahmanas, and we worship the spiritual master, as well as superiors like mother and father. So our body is used for that. That is good action, right? And then
Cleanliness.
apart from that,
Simplicity.
simplicity is there.
And then celibacy and non-violence.
Okay, very good.
Non-violence.
Cleanliness, celibacy,
Simplicity.
and non-violence. Very good. Well done, Bhagavati Mother. You got good memory. So these are the right actions that the body can perform. Right? And then speech. Anybody?
I think speaking truth or peacefully.
Yeah.
Truthful, yeah.
Speaking words which are truthful. Very good.
Pleasant.
Pleasing,
Pleasing.
Pleasant.
Yes.
Pleasing, yes.
beneficial.
Yes.
Not harmful.
Yes. Not agitating to others. Very nice, Puja Mataji.
Reciting the Vedic scriptures, is it?
Yes. Krishna Mataji. That's the one.
And true words, and telling the truth.
That's on the top. Yeah, the first one, truth. Thank you, Seema Mataji. Yeah. So you can see, so with the speech, these are the good activities we can employ our speech in doing. And of course, opposite to all that is bad action. If you look at truthfulness, lying is bad action. Pleasing means if you're speaking words which are harsh. Beneficial, something you speak to somebody which is not to their benefit. And of course, if you speak agitating words, and if you don't use your speech to recite Shastra, then it's all bad action. Because if you're not reciting Shastra, you will be doing prajalpa usually. And then mind.
self-control, there, mind.
Yes, satisfaction.
And
Simplicity
purification.
Gravity,
Yeah.
seriousness.
Self-control, yes.
And simplicity is purification. Yeah.
Of one's existence. So with our mind, actually, as it says in the 6th chapter of Bhagavad Gita, the mind can be your best friend or your worst enemy. So here, by using the mind for the good actions, right actions, we can actually get automatically purified. We can purify our existence by using our mind in the right way. So, yeah, I think it was good to have this revision. Then in the purport of 235, Prabhupada says again some nice words about this particular concept about good work and bad work, etc. So maybe I'll ask HG Mukunda-Hari to please read this.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
By taking advantage of the guidance of Supersoul in the form of intelligence, we can either continue to study and to put into practice our conclusion that I'm not this body, or we can choose to remain in the false material identification, fancying ourselves to be the possessors and doers. Our freedom consists in orientating orienting our desire either toward the ignorant material misconception or the true spiritual conception. We can easily attain to the true spiritual conception by recognizing the Supersoul, Paramatma, to be our friend and guide, and by dovetailing our intelligence with the superior intelligence of Paramatma. The super self and the individual self are both spirit, and therefore the super self and the individual self are both qualitatively one and distinct from matter. But the super self and the individual self cannot be on an equal level because the super self gives direction or supplies intelligence, and the individual self follows the direction, and thus actions are performed properly. The individual is completely dependent on the direction of the super self because in every step, the individual self follows the direction of the super self in the matter of seeing, hearing, thinking, feeling, willing, etc. Hare Krishna.
Thank you, HG Mukunda-Hari, very good. So you can see the key points is our freedom consists, we will be discussing a bit more about it in the next slides. The freedom that we have consists in orienting our desire either towards ignorant material conception or the true spiritual conception. That's our choice, right? And then it says super self, the super soul, gives direction or supplies intelligence, and the individual self follows the directions. This is if he is wise, otherwise it doesn't follow, right? And thus actions are performed properly. So if you follow, as we were saying earlier, the super soul is the main factor. And if you follow his guidance, then we don't go wrong. And then, so here, so result of wrong action is adharma, right? And because of no faith in dharma. So people who do the wrong action is because they really don't, either they don't know, they haven't read, or they haven't understood, or they just don't have the faith in it. Like I was saying earlier, one of my family members, or extended family members, says, no, we don't have anything to do with Bhagavatam. They don't want to know that dharma. So in the 9th chapter, there's this verse about us needing to have faith, first of all, in dharma. For us to be able to do right action, we need to have faith in what has been said to us. Otherwise, there's no start. Everything begins with faith, Shraddha. Otherwise, you will be lost forever. So this beautiful verse in the 9th chapter says, Shraddhadana Purusha Dharmasyasya Parantapa Aprapyama Nivartante Nitya Samsara Vartmani. Those who are not faithful in this devotional service cannot attain me, the Lord says, or conqueror of enemies, addressing Arjuna's Parantapa there. Therefore, they return to the path of birth and death in this material world. Nityu samsara vartmani, returning to this cycle of birth and death all the time, purely because we haven't got the faith. And because we haven't got the faith, we're not doing the right actions. The purport here, we'll just say, let's see, okay, we've got Anita, if you can unmute yourself and read this purport. Anita,
those who are not faithful in this devotional service cannot attain me, O conqueror of enemies. Therefore, they return to the path of birth and death in this material world. The faithless cannot accomplish this process of devotional service. That is the purport of this verse. Faith is created by association with devotees. Unfortunate people, even after hearing all the evidence of Vedic literature from great personalities, still have no faith in God. They are hesitant and cannot stay fixed in the devotional service of the Lord. Thus, faith is a most important factor for progress in Krishna consciousness.
Very well. Thank you, Anita Mataji. Thank you so much. So you can see, unfortunate people, even after hearing all the evidence of Vedic literature from great personalities, still have no faith in God. But that is a very, very sad case, right? You can see people, intelligent people will actually hear something recognize its value, and take action accordingly. Then there's slightly less intelligent people who will wait for something to go wrong in their life and then realize it and then take to dharma. We see that many times, right? People take a big knock and they start going through temple. So okay, that's also one way of the Lord attracting you to him. And then the third way, the worst kind of intelligence, is that you heard it, you've experienced it, and still you refuse to learn the lesson. And so that is the worst kind of situation, where you just carry on you're in your merry way without learning the lessons of this world from some intelligent religious person. So now here, whatever is done requires these 5 factors, as this verse says. Now, therefore, the super soul is also a factor in bad action, because the verse clearly says good or bad action. So the super soul is there as one of the factors. So my question to all of you is, why does the Lord allow bad action?
In my understanding, Mukunda-Hari Prabhu, because the soul wants it, and soul has a minute independence, and Lord allows, he doesn't stop that independence for the individual soul. So whatever that, he just sanctioned whatever the soul wants, he sanctioned because of the minute independence. Yeah.
Yes.
That's my understanding.
That's exactly right, Palika Mataji, that's right. So all living entities, we all have minute independence. It's called free will. So that free will, the Lord will not take away from us. So as we've discussed many times, that you must have heard from others as well many times, that the Lord is within the heart, always directing us. When we say, my conscience doesn't allow me to do certain things, that means the super soul is telling you and you're listening to it. But there are people who will have their conscience telling him something, they will still act the opposite way. Yeah. And then at that point, the Lord says, yeah, fine. You want to act like that? You go ahead, but you be prepared for the consequences. So that is the situation. We are misusing our free will. So the more we misuse our free will, the less our free will becomes. Just like in here, in a normal world, if you have misused your freedom, all of us are free. We are free to do whatever we like, but within the law of the country. But if we break the law of the country, misuse our freedom, then our freedom is curtailed, because we are then locked up for a few months or whatever, depending on the severity of your offense. You are actually, your independence is taken away from us, isn't it? So similarly, the bigger law of nature works the same way. If we, by misusing rather our free will, we do actions, then in our next life, we may get away with it in this life, for example. It's quite easy that, you can jump a traffic light and know if there's nobody there or no camera there, you get away with it. But the law of nature is not that fickle. It is very exact, perfect. So that will act, whatever action we've done. So by that action, either we will be suffering in this lifetime, so that our independence is reduced in terms of, because of our illness or whatever, we can't move around as much as we want to, or stuff like that. Or more specifically, in our next life, if we get birth in a yoni of animals, for example, or birds or whatever, then also our free will is curtailed, because they also, of course, the animals, they do have their free will and they do what they like. But then the big prerogative that we have in the human life is that free will for us to move towards the spiritual life. That is missing. The animals don't have that. Animals can only just, eat, mate, sleep, and defend, and then eventually come in the cycle of evolution back to human life, before they get the opportunity where the free will can be used to take steps towards Krishna. So that we lose out. Imagine, it's such a big loss. So devotees always pray, let me always be determined in your devotional service and never fall down. This is one of my, I'll give you my secret. This is one of my prayers every morning. Oh Lord, whatever you do, please let me always remain determined in your devotional service and never fall down. So one time, this is a very famous story. A lot of you will know about, but it's always still purifying to hear it again and again. Srila Prabhupada, and there's different ways, and I'm not sure if I remember it exactly, but there's a time when Prabhupada mentioned that the difference between you, because the practicing devotees, and it's a big difference between you and I, is that you may fall down, but I will not fall down. So the devotees heard that, they sort of took it in. And then a few days later, apparently, Prabhupada was standing in for the deities, like you see in the picture here, and he was praying like really sort of intense prayers, and tears were rolling down his eyes. So later on, when they were going somewhere in the car, one of the devotees asked Prabhupada, do you mind if I ask you a question? Prabhupada says, yes. He says, Prabhupada, what was it? Why were you so intense when you were praying today? So he says, yeah, because I was asking something from the bottom of my heart, pleading the Lord. He says, what were you asking? He says, asking the Lord that please make sure I never fall down. So the devotee said, but Prabhupada, just the other day you were saying that you will never fall down. So he says, this is exactly I know. This is why I know why I will not fall down, because I'm praying like this. So you see, if you're praying, from the bottom of your heart, that please, Krishna, don't let me fall down, then you can have the confidence like Prabhupada has to say that I'm not going to fall down. But it doesn't happen without our prayers. So if you remain in devotional service, we can be saved from bad action and falling down. So talking about falling down, I think this is probably the last slide here. So the chain reaction leading to fall down. There's a couple of beautiful verses in the second chapter of Bhagavad Gita, rather. Anybody know these verses that talks about what leads to fall down? 262 and 263. Anybody know the verses? Where's Rupa Mataji today?
Hare Krishna Prabhuji, my humble obeisances. Is it the Sanjay, I can't remember the Sanskrit words, but it says the senses are attracted to the sense objects.
Yeah.
And
Sanjayate
kamam, that kind of, and then there are series of verses which says, and then that's how the intelligence is lost, and that's how you fall down.
Very good. I knew you would know it. Well done. So here's the verse, right? The verse 262 says, Jayata Vishayan Pumsa, Sangaste Shupajayate, Sangat Sanjayate Kamaha, Kamad Lobho Vijayate. So this is how it starts. While contemplating the object of senses, everything starts from contemplation. A person develops attachment for them, and from such attachment, lust develops, and from lust, anger arises. Right? Kamat krodho bijayate. And the very next verse says, Krodha bhavati sammoha, sammoha smiti vipramaha, smiti brahmshat buddhi nasho, buddhi nashat pranashyati. From anger, so you remember, so anger has come because of lust. So when lust is not satisfied, anger develops, right? And from anger, complete delusion arises. And from delusion, bewilderment of memory. When memory is bewildered, intelligence is lost. And when intelligence is lost, one falls down again in the material pool. So this is the chain. We need to make sure that we stop our thoughts. Because if we can control our thoughts, then everything else we can control. If we let our thoughts run free, then we are in trouble. So one way to do this is to always somehow think of the Lord. Just think about the Lord, whether you're cooking for him, you're cleaning for him, you're washing for him. Think of the Lord. Of course, when reading, we're always thinking of the Lord. We're chanting, we should be thinking of the Lord. But if we always contemplate the Lord and his pastimes and his names, then our mind will not be dragged. There will be no space, for the mind to go anywhere else. So this is the trick. Keep our mind. 1865. Always think of me. Always think of me. So this is the point. Prabhupada emphasizes this time and again. Always think of me. And this is why we should be thinking of him, because it will stop us from this dangerous chain reaction. So devotees, I will stop here and invite any comments, realizations, questions.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna.
Thank you for a wonderful class, Prabhuji. Your prayer and some of the bits you said today reminds me of Bhakti Vinod Thakur's prayer, Manasa Deho Geho, Tunki Chumor. So mind, body, and family, whatever may be mine, I've surrendered at your lotus feet. And
perfect.
So it goes on.
These bhajans of our Goswamis are amazing, really amazing. They just the bhajans would actually make you Krishna conscious.
Yes, absolutely.
Thank you.
Just for some reason reminded me of that. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Very nice. The beauty also of the bhajans is the humility in all of them. All of them. Such amazing humility, right? When we have the other bhajans, there's some very popular bhajans where somebody is singing these Gujarati songs. My apologies for non-Gujarati speakers out there, but I'm just trying to remember the words. Maru Manuru Che, or how does it go? Maru Manuru Che something.
Gokula Vrindavan. Vrindavan.
So, you know, that bhajan is saying, I'm already there, I'm already pure. You know, so, you know, this is the contrast between those bhajans and the bhajans of the Goswamis. The Goswamis, even though they are so exalted, they're just saying, I'm so fallen, I'm so fallen. This is the beauty that really gives it the potency. Any other comments?
Prabhuji, how do you know that your reversals have come through your bad misuse of free will, or has it come because of the divine will?
Actually, you know, the divine will would never bring you bad results. The divine always wants you to come back to him, right? The Supreme Lord is there waiting for you to come back to him. So whatever's happening to us, if there's a reversal, it has to be. The reversal has to be because of our bad karma. If it's not in this life, we have many cases where people have been very, very pious and very, very proper in their living in this life. But then, of course, we know that our karmas come from various different past lifetimes, not just from this lifetime. So when a reversal comes, it cannot be, okay, you can say indirectly, he's the ultimate cause, of course, but he's the ultimate cause in the sense that the government has set the laws, right? Now, when you break the law, it's not the government responsible for that. Similarly, the Lord, of course, has set that. So in that sense, yes, you know, it directly ultimately comes from him. But the point is, we have to look at the more direct cause, which is us.
So that's misuse of free will then.
It is very much always the case.
Which impacts our karma. Which impacts our karma.
Exactly. Exactly.
Hare Krishna Mukunda-Hari Prabhu.
Hare Krishna Palika Mataji.
I mean, my understanding as we are studying, you know, thoroughly Srimad Bhagavatam, like, you know, Bhittashur, how he from Chitraketu, he become a pure surrendered devotee, so pure devotee, and then he falls down by, you know, by commenting on Lord Shiva. But it's sometimes is a Supreme Lord's will, or his direct intervention on those devotees, because he wants us to learn some lessons. And that's why through Srimad Bhagavatam, all the devotees are there. I mean, he wants to give us, enlighten us through those devotees. They do some mistake, but it's always It's Krishna's direct will. But I don't know, for us, I mean, we are very fallen. So for us, it's just karma works. But for the very higher devotee who are already very elevated, it's the direct intervention of Sri Krishna. And this is the difference between conditioned soul and, the pure devotee. This is my understanding.
Correct. Thank you, Palika Mataji. That's right. Yes. So when you, for us, we cannot expect direct intervention by the Lord. In the example that Palika Mataji just gave, it's Vikrasur, when because the Lord wanted him Chitraketu, because the Lord wanted Chitraketu to come back to him quickly, so he arranged that pastime. So apart from the fact that he shortcutted his time here so he can come back quickly, secondly, through his pastimes, we learn a lot of lessons. So there, yes, the Lord intervenes. So the Lord intervenes in the lives of very highly elevated souls in different ways. But for us, we are really, we need to just make sure that we don't get carried away with that kind of a thought, because we need to make sure that we just maintain our own sadhana rather than anything else.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Hare Krishna, Mukunda-Hari Prabhu. Dandavat pranams.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu.
How are you?
I'm fine. How are you, Prabhu?
Yeah, not bad. Thank you for a lovely session. Yes, people don't have faith in God because there's so much faith in materialism.
Yes.
Yeah, you find that all over. So many family, friends, the society you live in, it's full of the faith in material things, but not in God.
This is a sad part of life, but this is also one of the signs of Kali Yuga, isn't it, Prabhu? This is what it is, and what is very sad is when people close to you, your family, your brothers, your sisters, and you try so hard, but the conditioning is so strong that they sometimes even sort of nod and they agree with you, but they can't make themselves come to the temple. They can't make themselves pick up the beads and chant. It's just not happening.
Yeah, that is really difficult. You're right. But I suppose the only thing I can do is to pray for them.
That's it. And that, two things: pray for them, give them prasadam at every opportunity, and yes, don't give up. Just to speak about Krishna, because all those things will work to give them sukriti, agnata sukriti.
Yeah.
One day it'll work.
I think you are carrying the determination of your Guru Maharaj.
Thank you, Sir Prabhuji. My Guru Maharaj's mercy that I'm able to say even a single word, really. I've got his blessings, otherwise I couldn't.
No, he's guiding you, there's no doubt about it.
Certainly, yes, absolutely.
Thank you, Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna, Rupa Mataji.
I was also thinking that from the last Prabhuji's, this materialism, isn't it in Kali Yuga, obviously, as the days are progressing, isn't it becoming very difficult to get education, because education has become like it consumes us throughout our childhood to get into, some profession so that we earn money, so that, we look after our family. It's all just too consumes us throughout. So there is no time left for all the devotional service. I mean, I'm talking about normal materialistic person. Sometimes people are materialistic, but sometimes the whole system is very opposite. Like it consumes us. Like educate anything to become anything is so cumbersome. Then again, job, people are supposed to do 9 to 5, but they are doing much more hours. Because one person is expected too much, like they are expected to do the work of 3-4 people. So you have to do so much of hard work to get a little bit of money. So everything is very much pulling us, the Kali Yuga is pulling us away from devotional service, because devotional service also takes times like this change of consciousness. Obviously you will do something, because now we understand, with the knowledge we understand that we can do everything as a as Krishna's service, But the material education, everything, this whole system is very ungodly, I think. That's
Such a
what
good point you make, Rupa Masi, such a good point, because the whole education system, Prabhupada often said, is actually set up in such a way that it creates Shudras. So, you know, we need to move towards the Brahmanical qualities, but the system itself is creating Shudras. And like you say, life is getting a rat race. You got, you know, to give my example of my son. My son gets into the office now. He's working from home now, so he's there at 9:30, and then doesn't finish till 8 or 8:30, something like that. So, you know, hardly any time for him to do anything else. By the time he's finished, he's so tired that everything else is. You know. So you're right. Unfortunately, this is again, like you say, Kali Yuga. It's just giving us less and less time. So people like us who are able to spend time, even this 1 hour coming together in the evening to glorify the Lord and speak some katha, hear some katha, that is just, we should consider ourselves very, very fortunate, because people are not able to do it.
Yeah, true, Prabhuji. Hare Krishna. Thank you very much.
Hare Krishna. Okay, devotees, it's 10 to 9 now, so Shri Prabhupada ki jai. Jai Sindhu Pi Vache Patita Nam Pavanebhyo
Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo.
Oh, Namaha.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna,
Prabhu.
Krishna, Prabhu.